Welcome to Taking It Down, where we cordially unpack TV and film for our busy Alabama people who are also obsessed with television and movies as much as we are. I'm Blaine Duncan, one of the hosts. Taking It Down exists because I thoroughly enjoy dissecting why I like and why I dislike what I dislike when it comes to TV, movies, sometimes books and music. I have an English degree, and I'm also a teacher, so I try my best to pair those together to offer insight worthy of your time, because we know you're probably too busy to read everything out there. Plus, I was once your classic 80s and 90s kid who grew up in front of a television set and was thrilled to visit the movie theater for entertainment. Luckily, my ideas aren't the only set of viewpoints on the podcast every week. As with me are always these three. Adam Morrow, who's an erudite, traveling, and studio musician with a penchant for fine literature. Donovan Reinwald, a media specialist with encyclopedic knowledge on film and a lot more. And then there's Natalie Morrow, the first person to ask about fantasy, sci-fi, comics, trashy reality TV, and any Beyonce album. From us, you get the obvious, but you also get the obscure. Hey, YouTube people who get the unfiltered, unedited version, this is the bonus. You get a special hello, and you get to see exactly what we say when I don't come around and cut things out. So, hi.
Did you greet YouTube people or you two people?
You, YouTube.
You two YouTube people.
And you too, which is The Edge, of course, Adam Clayton,
The two
Larry.
you two YouTube fans. Sorry.
We're here to talk about Ted Lasso to begin. Let's talk Ted Lasso to begin. Here's the thing. Adam's back stateside. Our co-host Adam, he's back stateside. Our traveling erudite studio musician, he's back. But the thing is, he's having some technical difficulties today. He's not with us. He's around. He's not with us. But he sends us a message. He sends Donovan and I a message. I hope he doesn't mind me telling tales out of school here. And he says, oh God, I should pull it up. He says, guys, does Ted Lasso suck? Question mark. And that's where we are today. That's how we're beginning. I don't know. I watched it last night, the most recent episode, and I'm trying to debate it myself. What I was doing was looking at it through the lens of Natalie and Adam, especially, and thinking they think it kind of sucks. What is it that's changed or shifted or not up to par? Natalie,
Everything. It's all terrible. Everything has
like,
changed. None of it's up
like
to
he
par.
still has the same vibe and everything, right? To me, does it?
But
No?
it's not. Ted Lasso works when the rest of the cast and the rest of the script and the rest of the story works around him. It's not. This is dumb. This is stupid. This
It,
is silly.
oh,
This is not
the one thing I
clever.
know. Okay. Oh, there's something we can attach to. It's not as clever as it was. I think I see that. Is it not working for you because it's not as centered on Ted Lasso anymore? Because last night's episode, this week's episode, I watched it last night, had almost no Ted Lasso. He was at the beginning and then he was at the end.
I don't think
And
that's
there's been a
it.
couple episodes like that.
I think it's just the overall, it's just not well written. It's not well
Hmm.
edited. It is
Mm.
entirely too predictable. I think I said what two weeks ago or sometime on the podcast. I said, yeah, Roy and Keeley are going to end up back together because that's how this season is going. A good season would not have done that, at least not this quickly.
Yeah, I think there are 3 episodes left. Two now. Two
Yeah.
episodes left now. 3 episodes left, and they got back together. The predictability is high, but I'm trying to think that uh, it wasn't that all kind of signaled in a way that we figured that this is even in season 2 we were like we think probably Nate's going to come back around and be an okay person. We think, I mean, Roy and Keeley broke up this season, but we kind of thought that anyway. Um, it's telling a predictable story, right? I mean,
It is, but it's doing it in such a heavy-handed way that it's like,
Hmm.
give us a job to do as the audience. Like, let us
Oh,
figure
that's
it out and get there. Don't just like throw it all out at us.
I like that. Give us a job to do as an audience. That's what I appreciate in good art. And you're saying it's not. I'm questioning it because I still enjoy it and I still think it's pretty good. But I think you and maybe even Adam too, if we can speak for him. I hope he doesn't mind that you guys don't even think it's that good anymore. Whereas I think it's okay. It's still fine.
I think if this season were how the other seasons were, it would be fine. Like, I
Hmm.
wouldn't be upset about it. Just be like, this is
I,
just a show to watch. But the other two seasons were just so good, especially season one. That's like, to see how far it's fallen is really disappointing.
Yeah, there was a definite dip in quality in two. I'd still like two, but I think not having seen three, I think I agree with what you said, Natalie, that that it comes down to it can't just all be Ted. The writing of everyone around him has to be sharp, and it just wasn't quite as sharp into one to two, and apparently now three.
God, three is a shit show.
Natalie mentioned last time we talked Ted Lasso. It is a deliberate. She can blatantly point to the lack of Bill Lawrence.
For sure.
A, that can happen. You take away a big showrunner, one of the main writers, and you can pinpoint exactly when a show does this or that or veers in one direction. And I think I can see it sometimes. Boy, I wish you guys could have seen me last night watching this show. I had my hands on my chin and I was like, okay, where is it faltering? Where is it dropping the ball? Uh, I thought that one thing that sort of felt like a dropping of the ball was the handling of Danny being suddenly
Hmm.
cruel for the Mexican Canada game. That felt like something maybe Bill Lawrence wouldn't have done. Do you want to comment on that at all, or was that a plot line you just didn't care about?
I don't think that's the most like offensive thing they've done this season. Like, to me,
Okay,
a couple of episodes ago, when they had all their penises tied on a rope, I looked at
that's
Adam and I
right.
said, they've jumped the shark. This is it. The show is over. The show is dead.
Huh. Penises tied together.
Donovan, you've not
Yeah.
seen this.
I'm missing a lot.
They were clothed, by the way. It was
Well, but
under the
still,
shorts.
like, that was a really long bit that we were supposed to find funny. It's like, you got the wrong. This is what's his name? Who's Ted? Jason Sudeikis. This is SNL
Jason.
comedy when we had Bill Lawrence comedy. Like, when we had something way better.
That is one of the reasons I never really liked Jason Sudeikis until Ted Lasso, because that's always his style of
Yeah,
comedy, and it's fine. Like it's
right.
just fine.
It's fine. But they set the bar really high, and
Yeah.
they have missed it.
I feel the one of the things the show's doing, maybe too early to say, but there are only two episodes. There are some plot threads that they've laid out and just never decided to tie them together or tell us where they're going to intersect. Do you feel that too?
Sorry, I cut out for a second there. I missed your half what you said.
One of the things the show's done this season for me is that it's laid out some plot threads, but it hasn't decided to pick them up and tie them together or at least hint at where they're going to intersect. Do you think that's true too?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know that. I think they think that they're doing it because it all feels
Hmm.
very shallow. Like, they're like, "Oh, we'll just mention this in passing and now it's covered. We don't have to worry about it."
That's I think all writers rooms think that where they think, oh, we've done this. That's. I think the worst case scenario in a writer's room is probably they look around and go, oh, this is pretty good. This will work, you know, and it's just not happening. Maybe with Ted Lasso, I'm still thinking it's okay. I don't think I'm as detrimental on the season. Uh, I'm not a fan of the Barbara character. She every time she's on screen, I think to myself, I don't want to hear what she has to say. I get that she's a foil for Keeley. You're putting Keeley in a new office with brand new people. You need somebody for her to play off of. I just do not give a shit for this Barbara character. She's very one-dimensional, just to be there as a foil. And I get you need foils. You need somebody to display the characteristics of the other person. But that's one gripe I definitely have with this season.
I don't have a problem with Barbara because
No problem with Barbara.
everybody this season is one-dimensional. If you just came into season 3 without any knowledge of season 1 and 2, you would think all of these characters are one-dimensional.
I like how Roy's being done, though. I think that this was coming for him. He's a little softer. He's a little gentler. He's getting older. I think that his character's been played and written well.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's gotten the best treatment, but I think that's because of who Brett Goldstein is. You know, he's a much better writer than Jason Sudeikis.
That might be it. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Brett Goldstein has really shined this season. I think he's carried this season.
Except for when he had everybody tie their penises together. And then he just giggled the whole time. That was horrible. It was the worst moment in television this year. I'm saying that in May.
I do love how he doesn't use a whistle and he just yells whistle.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's pretty good. One of my favorite bits, I'd be interested to know who wrote it, was Will acting like Coach Beard for just a couple scenes.
That was pretty good too.
That actually made me laugh. Yeah. So kudos there. Right now we've got everything starting to come in for its landing. Keeley and Roy are back together. Hannah Waddington's character. What's her name?
Rebecca.
I just went blind. Rebecca, the owner, Rebecca, she's refused Rupert's advances as well as the Super League, which is a wise choice, and did so with a rousing speech. So, just what are they going to do with Ted? He's been pushed to the side. A lot of speculation online that he's going to return to the States and be a father there in person. And that Nate is going to take over Richmond.
I think Roy takes over Richmond. Nate gets another coaching job. Ted goes and coaches whatever Kansas City's MLS team is.
Sporting KC.
That's the one. I knew it had a dumb name.
I can't stand that name. Worst name in sports, if you ask me.
No, I think the worst name in sports is Real Salt Lake because it makes absolutely no sense.
Say it again. It's what?
Real Salt Lake. Like Royal Salt Lake.
Oh, I thought it was like...
Okay.
Is that really what it's supposed to be?
Because it's like Real Madrid is Royal Madrid. Real Salt Lake. No sense.
I'd never heard of them, so maybe
horrible.
Maybe I agree. Ted Lasso kind of sucks for Natalie and Adam, and for me, I think it's okay. Some of this I'm going to have to wait to see how it plays out. I will make my opinion after episode 12.
I will be validated in my opinion after episode 12.
I mean, maybe so, especially with, we laid out some possible predictions and speculations. If that's what happens on the, to the T, then you're right, it is predictable.
They haven't done another solo Coach Beard episode, have they? Because that one was just filler for me last season.
No, they haven't.
No. But do you remember what I said about it? That I was behind about 3 episodes, so I watched like 3 in about 3 nights in a row, and it didn't feel as much like filler if you kind of are sort of binging it.
Okay.
It kind of felt okay. Anyway, no, they haven't done that, but they have left Ted off to the side. And to me, I'm interested in Ted, Roy, and Rebecca the most.
Were you going to say
And when
Ted's the main character in a show called Ted Lasso?
No, I was just trying to figure out who am I the most interested in. It's Ted, Roy, and Rebecca, no doubt. Jamie Tart to a good degree. Okay, those are our thoughts, brief thoughts on some Ted Lasso stuff. We'll probably have to come back around to it because I think we want to see how it ends completely, and if this seems like it is the end. We'll say hello to our host. We say hello a little later in the show. Here they are, though. We've got with us as always. This guy just bought a goddamn house. It's Donovan Reinwald, homeowner.
Terrifying to be here, Blaine.
Terrifying to own a house. And also with us, you've heard a lot from her. She hates everything about this podcast.
Today I do.
It's Miss Natalie Morrow.
What's up?
We are going to take a quick little break and come back and talk some Ant-Man and the Wasps, Quantumania. Again, our YouTube people, they get a little surprise here. Anybody y'all want to shout out on the video feed?
Oh gosh, who's watching?
No
Jeff.
one.
Is Jeff watching?
Jeff.
No one watches.
Let's shout out
YouTube
Jeff
feed.
then.
Anyway, we're back into it. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp, directed by Peyton Reed, one of the MCU's most recent entries. Just landed on streaming. We've sort of transitioned this podcast into TV and streaming only, so that's why we're covering Ant-Man and the Wasp today. I have a lot to say about this movie. None of it's good. None of what I'm going to say. Where should we start? Just kind of in chronological order of the movie?
Let's start with the name of the movie.
Okay, go ahead.
It's horrible. I've been calling this movie The Quantum Menace for years, and I can't stop. Because that would be a better name than Quantumania.
It is pretty dumb. Quantumania. Like, a lot of quantum.
Right at the beginning, it sounds like it's promising something it can in no way deliver on, and no way has any desire to deliver on.
Donovan, you haven't seen it, and you're going to love this.
Haven't seen it, just seen trailers.
You're definitely going to want to see it after we talk about it.
Natalie sends me a text around Wednesday or Thursday and says, yeah, it's as bad as they say. And it is. Boy, oh boy. The first thing I noticed was there were some poor directing choices via edits in those first 10 minutes when they're trying to establish, like, Ant-Man's back in San Francisco and things are kind of back to normal. The cuts were entirely too fast. It's almost as if they filmed it for a reaction shot from one of the actors, and then you didn't even get it. It's like it's cut, like they're about to do a face, and then boom, you're done. I thought it felt cheap, or like a rookie director or something.
That didn't bother me as much, but what immediately took me out, just complete disbelief, is that Cassie would call them grandma and grandpa. She does not know
That was
them
weird.
that well. That was.
Cassie's just gonna call them grandma and grandpa. Totally unrelated to these people.
Just hasn't known them long enough.
Seems weird. I haven't seen a movie in the last 10 or 15 years that looked as bad as this one did, other than maybe like a DC movie that I've been lucky enough to forget. It's easy for me to compare this movie to some recent Star Wars entries, and when I do that, I can conclude whoever works on Star Wars and plans and develops what the aliens look like is much more adept or puts much more thought into it than what this one gave us. It seems so rushed. Like, I don't know, we'll just make this alien look like a blob. Did we? Oh, okay. Okay. Are you with us? Okay. So we'll just. What's the last thing you heard me say? Mm. Okay. Okay. What I was saying was, it's really easy and obvious for me to compare this movie to any of the recent Star Wars entries. And I think that in so doing, anyone can tell or conclude that whoever works on Star Wars stuff has more time and more sense in developing what aliens should look like and is more adept at doing that than what's here. Yeah. Yes, the blue helmeted guys were definitely in the same vein. Just those quantum people, aliens slash people who were like a tribe of people, they were just members of them that were just blobs. It's like they just gave up. Just a blob. Just be a blob. Just put us a blob in the CGI. Um, in its theatrical run, all critics made sure to mention that Janet should have or would have told her family about Kang or some of the specifics of the world. But boy, this movie insists upon making that point for us. Like, I counted at least 3, if not 4, times where she says, "Oh, I just didn't have time to tell you," or "I just didn't want to tell you this." It's almost like they knew they had to patch that up. It didn't make sense in huge swaths of the movie. What? No, this is all about. We're just laying it out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shout out Johnny Bananas there. This movie, this was the dumbest point of the movie. And I'm a fan of this kind of thing when it's done well, but this movie really wanted to equate homeless people to the quantum beings tribe. You know, the whole look out for the little guy. And then you even, and I swear to you, Donovan, this is true, Michael Douglas even mentions socialism at one point. Yeah,
This is getting to like great gonzo levels of like,
it's not even so bad that it's funny. It's just bad. One of the honest, I talk about that whole trying to equate homeless people with the quantum people and saving them or not overlooking the little guy. That's just they're trying to stitch that together. It's bad, but the worst thing I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. Oh God, it really tried to do Modoc.
huh.
I felt so sorry for so many actors in this movie, Bill Murray in particular, but maybe none more than Corey Stoll, who's a pretty good actor. He's not a bad actor. But I thought for the longest when this movie was in its theatrical run that when pictures of Corey Stoll as Modoc, I always thought it was a Photoshop joke. I thought that's a joke. They're just saying this movie's bad and they're just using that as a joke. Donovan, his character as Modoc
Hmm.
says, "It's never too late to stop being a dick," as he kind of sort of saves the day at the end.
Hmm.
And he says, "Stop, I'm going to stop being a dick." He says that twice.
Doesn't MODOK
It's
stand for machine organism designed only to kill? That seems like it's
oh,
out
and
of
that's a
canon.
point of reference. That's a point of reference in the movie. They
Cool.
milk the MODOK character for everything they can, and let me tell you something. There's not a lot in that udder to begin with. It the MODOK thing was, if he would have been visible once, quick little joke, gotten rid of, maybe it could have worked, but never. Mm-mm. It was bad. Is the only. There's got to be a better word than bad. It was hilariously stupid.
Would you even
Did you
call it
notice?
inept? Like it just never, like everyone
Yeah, it was
working on,
totally
yeah,
inept. It was
like
inept.
had
It
no
just all
clue.
felt rushed. It all felt rushed and like we got to do this. We got to film this. I couldn't care less about the tribal lady quantum leader. She was in the Mandalorian. She's uh the lady who's kind of doing the torturing. She's still kind of involved with the Empire. Remember her? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's barely even a device, much less a character in this movie. Yeah, I never believe they love each other. I
Yeah, they
never
didn't.
have.
They didn't have a lot of chemistry in their previous movies either.
Yeah, it is worse. It is. And I'll say, speaking of acting, even either the actors weren't giving a good performance, and we can speculate on why that could be directing there, or Jonathan Majors is just that much better of an actor. I know he's got his. I know he's got his controversy. I get that, but I'm just talking about what's on the screen. Once he was on the screen, I was just instantly more engaged. The movie almost has something when Kang first meets Janet in a flashback, and when Kang threatens Lang when he's got both him and Cassie jailed. It's almost got something there because of him. Yeah.
That is a very interesting thing to think about. I'll have to think on that one. That's a good. That's an interesting observation.
His performance, especially early in the movie when he first appears as Kang, is so good. I don't know that I've seen a comic book movie performance as interesting as what he's doing, and at times subtle, at times not that subtle, but also not overdone. It's not overcooked. It's good. The premise, though, that Kang can do, I guess, seemingly anything, but really all he wants is for Ant Man to retrieve his own little mother box. I don't know if that premise holds water. It's too dangerous for him to go down there and get it. I don't know. Oh, okay, okay. The one part that could have worked, and I thought the movie was going to do this with the trailers, was Scott wanting to ensure his daughter is safe. And again, that's Majors who's selling that because he's really the dangerous person here. But they just kind of drop that too, don't they? By the way, Donovan, Kang can be defeated because the ants lived 1,000 years in a day. That's
What?
that's what happened. Yeah, exactly. That was my reaction too.
What? What?
The ants got sucked down into the quantum level, and for them, one day is 1,000 years. So they're really smart now, and they can attack Kang.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Gonna have to pray over that
Exactly.
one. That sounds really stupid.
Donovan, you probably can comment on this as well as Natalie and I. Marvel's strengths are becoming its detriment. Um, they can create as much as they want because of money, but
Hmm.
that's saturated and dulled the interest. They can do multiverse stories, but this movie is not just confusing, but also inane. Like, this is a variant of Kang and not the same Kang that the Loki person which was horribly explained. They can bring back here's my favorite. They can bring back characters because they can afford the actors again, but yet they do so with Darren becoming MODOK. Darren from the original Ant-Man. And they keep calling him Darren too, by the way. They keep saying, Darren, it's really you. Compare this one to that second Ant-Man. That second Ant-Man's kind of breezy and funny and fun and, I don't know, light. And this is just a sad turn for this particular Ant-Man franchise. Yeah,
it was. They know.
Yeah, it was a major worry of mine when they said that they were doing a lot of multiverse stuff. I just thought that is too confusing to be engaging, and it requires too much explanation. It requires too much exposition to get away with that kind of. It's just hard to do. You know, everything, everywhere, all at once managed to do it. It's rare to get it done well.
I think that drawing from the comic side of thing, and I haven't read every comic everywhere, but the multiverse thing seems to mainly be like the attraction of it is that they can do one of those what if stories, right? Like they used to do in the comics. But the thing about those what if stories is they were usually one issue. They didn't take down they both Marvel and DC have done multiverse stuff, but I think like what Marvel's trying to do is like it's fun, but it's one issue. It doesn't take over the whole series.
Yeah, I think they wanted to do it in Marvel Cinematic Universe to do the things like they did with Spider-Man, with having Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And it worked there, kind of. But it worked as far as getting those three characters on screen and having some fun and, you know, smiling about those three guys getting to play off each other as Spider-Men. It's not working as a storyline, though. It's just... It would take a certain kind of writing that's not happening, I think.
I mean, you do get that kind of writing where it's like, you know, I do think that one of the strengths of this all the Marvel movies is that they're pretty like consistent and that you know pretty much what you're going to get when you sit down and watch one, but also they fall prey to this sort of bland uniformity where it seems like everything is done by a formula and it's like we have a joke here because we have to have a joke here. We always have a joke here.
That was 100% Quantumania. That they did nothing to step away from the formula at all. And it was very predictable as well. We talked about Ted Lasso being predictable this season. This movie was... You could have given me the first 20 minutes and I could have told you everything that could happen.
Could you have predicted the ants?
To a degree, I think. They've got to come into play somehow.
I mean, that's true. I'm just not sure I could have predicted that reason.
Yeah. It was so rushed and poorly edited in those first 15 minutes. So badly edited because they were trying to rush it. I would like to see what some of those scenes ended up being on the cutting room floor because there's at least a few of the actors' reaction shots. But man. Anyway, we had I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but there you go. It was on streaming. We picked it up. Speaking of streaming, I think the next thing we're covering is HBO Max, Bama Rush.
Oh man, I can't wait.
I can't wait. We're gonna try our best to squeeze that one in before some of us take vacation. And that's the end of our episode this week. So if you are not a subscriber, follow us on Apple Podcast or Spotify or Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. And what we'll do is we'll talk to you next Tuesday. See everyone later.